They thought it would be just another summit. A room full of power suits, billionaires, and rehearsed applause. The kind of place where real change never happens. But when Jeff Bezos stood on that stage and dismissed Africa with a smile, something happened that no one, not even his handlers, could have scripted. The setting was grand. Marble floors, gold trim, rows of flags from every African nation. It was the African Union's annual economic summit held this year in Addis Ababa. World leaders flew in, tech giants landed in private jets, and media swarmed the compound like bees around power. Jeff Bezos had been invited to speak about the future of private investment in Africa. It was supposed to be a highlight, a man worth nearly $200 billion, offering wisdom to a continent still, in many eyes, developing. He walked on stage to polite applause, dressed in a perfectly tailored navy suit, subtle smile on his face. You could feel the confidence dripping off him. Cameras snapped, social media lit up. Too many, he was the main event. And then, he started speaking. In the next decade, he said Africa could become a key player in tech and infrastructure, but only if it learns how to operate at scale. The world is moving fast. We can't wait for outdated systems to catch up. Laughter from some delegates. A nod from a European investor. It sounded smooth, but to others it rang hollow. Innovation, Bezos continued, requires efficiency, governance, and above all, cooperation with the private sector. The future belongs to those willing to be bold and follow the rules that work. It was subtle, coded, but everyone understood what he meant. Africa had to follow their rules. The West's rules. The billionaires' rules. Except someone in the room wasn't smiling. Seated on the second row, wearing full military camouflage, red beret folded neatly in his lap, sat a calm and unblinking figure, Captain Ibrahim Traoré, President of the Transition in Burkina Faso, 35 years old, sharp-eyed. Silent, he had said nothing throughout the summit. Not a whisper, not a comment, observing, calculating, until now, as Bezos spoke about market-driven development. Traoré stood. He didn't walk to the mic. He didn't adjust his collar. He simply stood, tall, unmoved, and waited. First, people thought he was leaving. But then the silence hit. You could hear it. Even the cameras paused. Traoré's voice, when it came, was low, calm, and absolutely devastating. You speak of rules, he said. But who wrote them? Who enforced them? Who profits from them still? Bezos blinked. A flicker of confusion crossed his face. The room shifted. Some delegates leaned in. Others sat back, bracing. We followed your rules, Traoré continued. And what did we get? Minds stripped bare. Contracts that bind but do not serve. Children working while satellites orbit. You sell the future with tools made from our suffering. The air was thick now. Even the moderators were silent. You speak of cooperation, Traoré said, stepping forward now. But it has always been extraction. And you call it boldness when we reclaim our sovereignty. Bezos attempted a smile. Mr. President, he said into his mic, I think there's been a misunderstanding. My remarks, your remarks, Traoré cut in, reflect exactly what we expected and what we reject. That was the moment. Bezos, perhaps realizing the cameras were rolling, the optics spreading, did something no one expected. He stepped down from the stage, slowly, carefully, and then walked toward Traoré. His security hesitated. The moderators tried to signal for a break, but Bezos kept walking. He stopped a few feet from the military leader, looked him in the eye, and said, not into a mic, but just loud enough for the room to hear, I didn't mean disrespect. Traoré said nothing. Bezos looked around then. Did something no billionaire at a global summit had ever done? He brought his hands together, not for a handshake, but in something far more vulnerable. A plea. Not quite a bow. Not quite an apology. But something raw, embarrassing, real. And the room exploded. Gasps. Murmurs. A flood of flashes from press cameras. The clip hit Twitter within minutes. Hashtags trended within the hour. #TRAORE confronts BEZOS. #Africa demands respect. #Burkina Faso's returned to his seat. He didn't speak again that day. His team looked shaken, and Traoré sat, calm as ever, unmoved, like a mountain that had always been there, it just hadn't been seen until now. What followed was a global reckoning. Clips of Traoré's words were translated into over 20 languages. In Senegal, students quoted him in political science class. In Nigeria, radio shows replayed the confrontation on loop. In Kenya, activists painted his face beside the words, "We are not here to ask. We are here to remind." Meanwhile, Bezos' team issued a dry corporate statement. The intent was collaborative. Any offense was unintentional. Too late, Traoré had touched a nerve. Not just in Bezos, but in every African citizen who'd ever felt patronized. Every leader told to be pragmatic. Every nation lectured on accountability by countries that built their wealth on pillage. This wasn't about one man. It was about dignity, restored, unapologetic ally. In the days that followed, journalists from Europe tried to spin the moment as a misunderstood cultural difference. Analysts called it symbolic, but not strategic. But those who felt it, who heard it, knew better. Because sometimes, one moment can do more than decades of diplomacy. Sometimes, all it takes is for one man to stand. While the world expects him to stay seated, and when that man does it calmly with no anger, no theatrics, only truth. It doesn't just change the room. He changes the narrative. Jeff Bezos had the money, the spotlight, the platform. But Traoré had something stronger. Conviction, history, and the voice of a continent rising. And once Africa finds its voice, no one, not even the richest man in the world, can silence it.